Hello and welcome back to my channel where I talk about Japan and the JET program. So if either of those things interest you, then be sure to subscribe. And welcome to my JET program confessions video where I asked ALTs from all over Japan to send me their most embarrassing stories from their time here, having been told that the stories would be read on camera anonymously, only to find out now that I will be naming and shaming every single one of those ALTs. No, I'm just kidding. But could you imagine though, like, that would be proper wild. But I will be reading their stories anonymously, of course, and we have quite the range. We have stories from school involving students and teaching. We have drunken nights out in Japan. We have stories of ALTs that went on dates with Japanese people. I even included one of my own stories, which will also be anonymous. So see if you can guess which story is mine. Like, if you think you know which one is me, comment it below. I mean, I ain't gonna tell you if you guess right, but, you know, I'm curious to see how well you guys think you know me. Alright, let's get started. Don't mind the glasses, I'm sorry for any reflections, but this is going to involve a lot of reading, so I need these guys. One time I was teaching a class on future careers, and one student asked me how to spell kindergarten because they wanted to be a kindergarten teacher. So I wrote it on the board. I wrote kindergarten. Kindergarten, like a back garden, with a D, like an idiot. My JTE noticed and pointed it out to me. I was still very early in my JET life and I was too embarrassed to admit any English mistakes, so I spontaneously came out with, "Oh, that's just the UK spelling. It's different from the typical American spelling that you're used to."
You're such a liar, Camille.
She nodded, didn't say anything, and never mentioned it again. Did she know? I don't know. I think we know. Like, the JTEs aren't stupid. Like, come on, they definitely knew you were lying out your ass. That's such a blatant lie. Like, come on. But you know what? I guess that's thinking on your feet. One day after a night out at Izakayas with friends, I was on my way home and some random guy walked up and said we should go to an izakaya. An izakaya, by the way, is just like, it's very similar to a bar, like food and drink. You go there to get drunk, let's be real. I spoke no Japanese at the time, so basically we just talked in gestures. I agreed and we went and communicated solely through Google Translate, got a champagne tower, and had fun chatting. But then my phone died and I had no way of talking to him. So whenever he would say something, I would just nod. Later we went outside and he pointed to some pink building with prices and times on it, and I had never seen anything like that before, but could guess what he meant. So I just kind of slowly backed away and smiled and then ran. By the way, the pink building with prices that was described was very clearly, as anyone in Japan would know, a love hotel, where people go and pay for a room by the hour to do adult things. After a bit though, I realised my phone was dead and didn't know how to get home to my apartment, and it was like 1 AM. After a few weird looks from people walking by, some Japanese guy, so I guess a different Japanese guy than before, did a double take and said, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you okay?" I told him that I was lost and my phone died, and then he said, "Oh, I'll take you to your home."
That's suspicious.
I popped on the back of his bicycle and drunkenly described the area that I lived.
Let's show her stranger danger. Do you know stranger danger?
He told me his name, but I couldn't understand it and it sounded like Kyle, so I just called him Kyle. He's a truck driver. I looked up from the back of Kyle's bike and eventually I saw my apartment building. He was so nice. To thank him, I took him out for a beer the next weekend. We don't keep in contact now, but he helped me out so much. Thank you, mysterious truck driver Kyle, wherever you are out there in the world. Godspeed to you, my good sir. Like, obviously this is anonymous, but I know who it is. And like, this ALT, they be getting up to some shit. They have no sense of danger, especially when it comes to meeting strangers, and they have so many stories like this, yo. Like, can you please be careful?
If a stranger asks you to get in his van, you say, "On my way." Nope, not right. Stranger danger.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Thinking it was a bright idea to bring the Nijikai, which is like the after party of an Enkai, which is the work party, consisting only of myself, my principal, and my homeroom teacher, to the Trash International bar in my city. Practically bullied them both into tequila shots, then ended up in some sketchy ramen shop. Principal had already whipped out a hip flask of whiskey when my homeroom teacher proceeded to vomit into his bowl of ramen, before loudly suggesting him and I should go to a love hotel. The principal proceeded to grab him by the mouth, apologise on my behalf, handed me his hip flask, and launched my homeroom teacher into the nearest taxi. Cut to Monday at school. The principal hands me an envelope with the ramen money inside and a handwritten note asking me to leave his hip flask in the locker room. Never spoke a word about it again. For good reason too. The homeroom teacher is married with 3 kids. Honestly, rip. That's just such tragic chat, man. That's a terrible story. My ears are bleeding. I have one teacher who asks me questions every day. He's older and spends his free time watching TV and movies in English. Recently, he mainly asks me about Supernatural or Big Bang Theory. However, he came up to me one day explaining that he had been using his voice recorder on his iPad to work on his pronunciation. He was trying to get the voice recorder to hear him say the word clap, but it always heard him say crap. I can picture exactly how he was saying it now.
クラップ
He asked me to try, which I did, and got the voice recorder to understand me. He continued to try and continued to say crap instead of clap.
I'm gonna say the word.
He is also the type who screams at the iPad so it can hear him. I then tried to demonstrate the word clap for him and show him the difference between clap and crap. This led to us loudly saying crap to each other in the middle of the staff room. He could not figure out how to say clap and told me he later would practice at home and then we could try again the next day. Before he went back to his desk, he asked me if all Americans can say the word clap from birth. About 5 minutes later, I heard him asking all the teachers around him to try and say clap into the voice recorder. But since they were copying how he said it, they were all yelling crap into the iPad. This went on for about 15 to 20 minutes, where all you could hear in the staff room were different teachers yelling crap into the iPad. I would pay a lot of money to see that all unfold. Oh my god. Been here a while and can openly say I embrace Japanese culture and customs, to the point that I might even say I enjoy them. One thing that can 100% get in the fucking bin though is sitting on the floor. Even Japanese people don't like it. I certainly don't. I'm quite tall and about as flexible as a plank of wood. Relatable content. So I particularly dislike sitting on the floor. Anyway, went on a date with this girl and it was not long after I'd arrived in Japan, so played that card pretty damn liberally and made her choose somewhere for us to meet. She chose this izakaya which she claimed was really good, so met there for some food and drinks. When we arrive, we get shown into a wee booth and I'm like, oh no, because not only do we have to sit on the floor, it's a hard wood floor. Really uncomfortable. Disgusting! But in a bid not to be emasculated, I sit there. Fight through the pain, try and sit still and pretend to enjoy my dinner. Time comes to leave, and as I go to stand up, I realise that having my left leg wedged between my right and this bastard floor, it's now completely numb and I can't feel a thing. What's more, we've obviously had to take her shoes off, so I'm in socks, trying to stand up on a pristine hardwood floor, and I have zero control of my legs. I faceplant. There's also literally no way to shrug it off and play it cool. She saw and everyone heard. We never met again. I lived about a 2-minute walk from school, from my front door to the school gate, and would sometimes pop home to get my lunch if I had forgotten it. Sometimes I would even leave school when I had been left alone in the teacher's room and had no classes on, and would hang out at home until my JTE called me. ALT sensei, where are you? Oh, I just went home to get my lunch. I forgot it. I'll be back soon. Worked perfectly every time. I am neither confirming nor denying that this is relatable content, but... Heavy drinking night in the city with a big pile of us. We always had to plan ahead as our last train was early as fuck and we lived out in the rice fields. I was having a great time and declared I was staying in the city. Proceeded to drink for many hours until closing at 4:30 AM. Wandered, shambled around till the first train. Promptly fell asleep on it, and woke up to a conductor waking me up at the other end of the fucking prefecture. Disoriented and still drunk as fuck, shambled into the train back up north. Fell asleep on that, and ended up at the other end of the bastarding prefecture.
Well, she tried. At least, she...
Got off the train, stinking, migraine, and hungover to all hell. Tanked 3 vending machine coffees and got on another train, this time making it to my station. Too embarrassed to get a taxi, I walked 45 minutes to my apartment amongst the commuters, stinking like a brewery and questioning my life choices. The only thing I would be questioning is, why the fuck didn't you get that taxi, pal? It's one taxi driver's judgment versus all of the public's. And I think I'm going to leave it there for today. It took longer than I thought it would to read them, so there will probably be like 3 or maybe even 4 parts to this series over however many months, so do look out for those. Subscribe if you don't want to miss them. And could you guess which story was mine? Comment it below. Also, if you are a current or past ALT and you have a story for a future video, feel free to DM me on Instagram. It's linked in the description. Alright, thanks guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.